Hello everyone! Welcome back to another 2v2 battle. This one is going to be a siege, my very first siege. I am playing as the goblins, the greenskins. My ally is playing as the Empire. There goes some Doom Divers. And we are facing off against an Empire player as well as the Dwarves. The Dwarves brought a lot of cannons. The Empire player brought a lot of mortars. We have swordsmen, I believe, mostly garrisoned in these siege towers. And then the Dwarven infantry is, I believe, all Longbeards. We have a couple crossbows, we have a couple great swords. There is a Celestial Wizard, a Dwarven Lord, there's a Master Engineer up here with the cannons, buffing them up. There goes some more Suicidal Goblins. And, yeah, that's mostly their forces. And Gyrocopters. So from the very beginning of this match, let me actually slow this down real quick. I garrisoned these towers. I was pretty sure that they were going to attack together. I didn't know which side, but I wanted to make sure that we had each tower garrisoned so that they can at least fire, because it's kind of the big deal of being in a defensive battle, because you actually have less money to bring than the attacker player, I believe, because you have these towers, and hey, you have walls. But anyway, I had these two towers focus firing on these gyrocopters, and you can see that already, in a matter of like a minute, one of these gyrocopters were basically taken down. I'm moving a Goblin Archer over here because there's clearly nothing to attack over here for these towers, so I'm going to pull them over here to where the battle is going to be. But yeah, let's go over my army. Let's press play because there's going to be an exchange of Mortar Fire and Doom Diver Fire. So I brought 4 Night Goblins. Cool little dudes. I brought 3 Goblins with Spearmen. I brought 4 Goblin Archers, 2 Night Goblin Archers, 2 Doom Diver Catapults. The Goblin Shaman is our leader. And we also have a... what was it? Goblin Big Boss. Yeah. Look at that dude. He's pretty cool. So yeah, I definitely went with the theme for this battle. I don't know if you could tell what that theme is, but it's there. You just gotta look for it. So yeah, that is my army. My ally brought, I believe, 4 Halberdiers, 1 Greatsword, 3 Hand Cannons, a Bright Wizard, who is right there, and an Imperial Generic Lord. And so yeah, right now our Doom Divers and Hailstorm Rocket Batteries are just firing at the enemy artillery. You can see that they've taken a lot of damage over here. Now what I should have done is probably focus fire my Doom Divers from the start against their infantry, which is kind of hidden back here. There are some dwarf units manning these. What are they? What are these? Battering rams. Jeez, I don't know why it took me so long to think about that. But yeah, I do kind of waste some ammunition, I think, on this artillery, but it still looks cool. Eventually, though, I will switch the Doom Divers to shooting at the Longbeards, which are now currently moving to our right flank into this forest. Just get some cool shots of these mortars going off. Here comes some Hailstorm Rocket Batteries. Now, this was on, I think, medium unit size, because that's what the hosts chose. So it's not going to be as epic looking as it would be with large or ultra, but, you know, oh well. I really do like the siege towers for the dwarf people. That's really cool. But I believe I should see some Doom Divers coming over here soon. There we go. One of them is firing over here. Ooh, I think they just hit the tree. Alright, here we go. Here's another one. Not a great hit. Not a great hit. Yeah! No! Ooh. Well, Bright Wizard spell going off over there. Yeah, anyway. Not much else to show right now, just because it's just artillery fire exchanging. They have managed to destroy 2 towers, sorry, at this point. And now they're working on the wall to try and create a breach there with all these cannons. There's our Master Engineer. Is that another spell coming in? Yeah, it is. Bright Wizard going to work. Now again, the spells in this game, kind of like Hellstorm rocket batteries, they typically look more impressive than they actually are. Ooh, there's some Doom Divers going in too. I thought I had put them on Longbeards at this point. I guess not. But if I were these people sitting on this wall, I would probably move, noticing that the cannons are firing there. And so right now I'm trying to get some of our forces over here to the right flank, because clearly that is where the dwarves are going to be landing. We do have a unit of goblin archers over here currently, but that's not going to stop the Longbeards inside these siege engines. We also do have the shaman over here, as well as big bosses going over here. We have night goblins pretty close to support. And at this point, the enemy doesn't really know what we have in here. They don't know what our build is, but they're about to find out. A nice goblin secret. We got some spears in there just in time. And what I'm going to be doing with my shaman is I'm going to be buffing up our unit's attacks with sneaky stabbing. And I think I dropped 1 or 2 debuffs for the Longbeards that are coming out of there as well. So here goes a buff spell. So if we pause this for just a moment, you will see... Let's bring up the... There we go. So for them, they are now plus 34 melee attack, and then they also gives them armor piercing damage, which is pretty good against the dwarves because they are heavily armored. So you can see that their melee attack is now at 55. So they're going to be getting a lot of hits, and even against Longbeards, who have a 45 melee defense, they'll get through, basically. And also, the Night Goblins do give the poison debuff, if we can... Here we go. So for 5 seconds, all their stats are debuffed if they're hit by the Night Goblin poison. Both the archers and the melee versions have this, which is why I kind of like them. But yeah, so they're going to be suffering from that, as well as my units are going to be buffed up as well by the shaman. So let's unpause. And I'm hoping that these little goblins with the buffs, with the support, can get through the Longbeard armor, led by our big boss right there. Oh, that nicely. Meanwhile, I believe they destroyed our wall. Yep. They did manage to destroy our wall. There goes a flaming skull back there from the Bright Wizard. Again, another spell that is, it looks cool, though. Pulling back our archers to get a better line of sight. Here comes some more Longbeards. They're going to be putting ladders on the wall. This group of Night Goblins have broken. They will return, though. They still have most of the unit left, but right now they're broken. Goblin Spearmen doing what they can. Meanwhile, over here, the Empire has landed, but their forces have been kind of dealt with by our Night Goblins. Let me get rid of that. As well as the support of our Goblin and Night Goblin archers over here. Again, the Night Goblins will apply that poison debuff to the units that they hit. They don't do much damage, though. Here comes another siege tower filled with swordsmen. My Night Goblins are going to try and do what they can. They do not have any support from our heroes on this side. That's kind of why I gave them a lot of archers. Oh my god. Look at all those bows just not doing anything. I didn't notice that during the fight. Whoops. And then also through here, they are pouring their great swords, or at least they tried to, but we focus fired with our Doomdiver catapults and held them off with the halberdiers and a group of goblin spearmen. Then over here, we are doing pretty well against these 2 groups of Longbeards, but we have poured a lot of magic into making sure that that happened by buffing our people up with a sneaky stabbing. And again, more dwarves are coming up the ladders now, which is not a sight we want to see. So I think it's at this point, knowing that this flank over here is getting cleaned up, I start to pull a group of Night Goblins to the right, and I think I pull these spearmen down through here and up to the right as well. That group of fanatics, or I'm sorry, Night Goblins that broke are coming back slowly. And now our big boss is left to fight these dwarves on his own, because the goblin's now routed. But you know, he's a leader. I'm sure he'll be fine. Meanwhile, goblin numbers do dwindle. What was that? Okay, there's the debuff, Inchy Nuisance, so we're dropping their damage and melee attack. And on the dwarf units, the melee attack is a huge deal. If we pull up the infantry. So there you go, they have a 0 with the Inchy Nuisance. I don't know if they still at least have like a 0.1% chance or something to still hit even at 0 melee attack. I don't know the math in this game. But either way, they're probably not going to be hitting anything for Inchy Nuisance duration. Which is why it's kind of cool. Here we go, more Night Goblins up here to try and fight the Longbeards. Meanwhile, we're still holding the pass against some swordsmen. Yeah, just swordsmen, 2 groups of them. The Hellstorm Rocket Battery team is up here fighting swordsmen. I didn't notice that the first time. But my Goblin Spearmen are also here. And here we go. We got some more Night Goblins getting pulled over. They should have been running. I guess I forgot to tell them to do that. But they're heading their way over here because we're going to need some support. I'm also getting our Goblin Archers into range to try and help us out against these Longbeards. And we are still fighting. But there are still more Longbeards coming up over the wall through the siege engines. He headbutted me in the groin. Classic Total War Warhammer. Another sneaky stabbing buff dropping, I believe. Oh no, that was an itchy nuisance. I'm sorry. So again, these people are dealing nothing. They're not getting any hits in. I think the big boss is still over there, handling one group of Longbeards by himself. Here comes their Dwarf Lord into the fray, who's a very strong melee combatant. We buffed up with sneaky stabbing. And the rest of the battlefield, we did manage to push back their attack here, but there are cannons that are just firing into our lines. And I didn't notice this, or else I would have pulled back my Goblin Spears. But yeah, they're just getting shot up by cannons at this point. And I believe we have cleaned up most of their forces on this side. Yeah, we have. And so now the Dwarves, they have all their numbers on the wall, so they are managing to get some of them on the ground. I'm pulling back our Shaman because the Shaman is not a melee combatant. Trying to get whatever Goblins I can into the fight. Because I'm going to need to try and delay... Oh, I missed the spell there. There was a comet from the sky. I apologize. But I'm trying to delay the Dwarves as much as possible so we can get our Goblins to hopefully kill them with their arrows. But the arrows don't do much damage. The boss at this point routed, and I believe is over here now. Yep, there they are. Almost dead, too. So the Longbeards in the end did manage to almost kill our Goblin Big Boss. The one remaining group of Night Goblins up here is slowly fading away. We do have some halberd support, although I think they're running too. Yep, they're running as well. We are getting some hits in, but, I mean, they do have a lot of armor, and they are shielded, so... There's 3 things going on here. The Longbeards are heavily armored, they are shielded, and Goblin Archers don't do much damage to begin with. So, we're not going to get too much kills here. That's all we got. That's all we've got. There goes my Goblin Shaman. Again, not a melee combatant, and seeing that their lord was nearby, I did not want to get killed by him. So at this point, I'm sacrificing this group of goblins. I'm going to try and buy as much time as possible to continue to rain arrows down upon them. The Empire player is bringing a group of halberds as well as their lord into the fight. Looks pretty sweet. The Goblin Archers are not going to be able to hold out long, so we send in another group. But this group has no more ammunition along with this one either. So they're going to do their best to try and murder Longbeards as Goblin Archers in melee. Again, I was going for a theme. That is a lot of Longbeards. Unsurprisingly, the goblins start breaking pretty quickly. And we're almost out of ammunition here. Oh yeah, and at this point, both players sent in everything through this breach. They sent in their siege groups. So we got cannon dwarves coming in here, along with the mortar teams, just forming up this giant clump. I believe there's Celestial Wizards coming in as well. Yeah, there he is. The Dwarf Lord at this point is starting to chase my Goblin Shaman, and I noticed this, so I'm trying to run away from him. There he goes, trying to get him. Ooh. Run, Goblins, run. So yeah, I ran over here to try and charge into this group of cannon dwarves, knowing that they aren't really suited for melee. So I'm trying to get as much damage as possible. Also, we managed to snipe one of their enemy lords there. I think that was their Celestial Wizard that we sniped. Oh, no, wait, no. There's their Celestial Wizard. That must have been their Lord. Speaking about Lords, the Dwarf Lord is continuing their chase on our leader. So I'm going to pull him back again. You can see him chasing. But I was like, nope, nope, I'm on a wolf. You're not going to catch me. And so then I'm going to go back over here to help our goblins that have regrouped a little bit. Going to get a rear charge into these long beards. Maybe not. Maybe not. I charge into this group of artillery people. I thought I charged those long beards. Because here comes Dwarf Lord again. I'm trying to get out. Here we go. This is when I charge the back of the Longbeards. We have a group of handgunners down there trying to shoot the dwarves. I have 2 goblin archers trying to shoot them as well. And this goblin group, well, they broke again. The Dwarf Lord is continuing to chase my shaman. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Trying to get him out of there. And by taking a couple hits, you can see his health has taken quite a beating. But we do get out of there again. Other goblins over here have come back. I'm sitting in my Doom Diver team against the mortar teams. We also still have Night Goblin archers back here. It's now my shaman is trying to help clean up these just hodgepodge group of people. We're doing another group of Sneaky Stabbing. So Sneaky Stabbing, even on the Goblin archers, with that positive 34 melee attack, they're now up to a 45. And they still do 24 weapon damage. Oh, that's the Doom Diver Catapult. My bad. Where's the archers? The archers have 44 and they also have 24 weapon damage. So, even though they're not melee focused, with that spell, they're still going to get some hits in, especially against, you know, crossbows, mortar teams. There are some greatswords in here, though. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. But yeah, so that's why I dropped that Sneaky Stabbing, because I'm also going to try and kill their Celestial Wizard here, trying to just break the morale, because at this point I'm like, it's not looking good. But maybe if we can break the Empire player, then we can break the Dwarf player as well, who is now charging down the road trying to get to my remaining Goblin archers and the handgunners and the Bright Wizard over here. And at this point, the Dwarf Lord stopped chasing me, which I was very sad about because it was wasting his time, but yeah. There we go. We did manage to kill this Celestial Wizard. There his dead body is with a couple arrows in it. That was pretty cool. Push back this group of greatswords as well as the mortar teams. And that's when I noticed that there's been a Master Engineer just shooting us the whole time, so I decided to charge him, not thinking that they're that good in melee. Now let's pause. Let's pause for a moment. Master Engineer still does have a 38 melee attack, 30 weapon defense, and armor-piercing 280 weapon damage in melee. Goblin Shaman, 24 melee attack, 26 melee defense, but a charge bonus of 50. So, not too shabby. 280 weapon strength. But in a matter of 2 hits, you want to pause it here? Maybe 3. Yep. With the 50 charge bonus, I thought we were going to actually be able to do something because that does boost your melee attack and weapon damage. But nope, that Master Engineer didn't care at all. And with my leader dead, the rest of my goblins are now just in a full rout. They are actually broken at this point. The Bright Wizard is still over here doing what he can, but that's a Dwarf Lord who's insane in melee. And the Bright Wizard breaks. The Imperial Lord died over here against these Longbeards, and that is that. So, yeah, the Empire enemy player took a pretty brutal beating, but the Dwarf player still had multiple groups of Longbeards, almost full health, I think, Lord, and a full health Master Engineer, so they kind of murdered us pretty handily there. Let's look at the kills. Goblin Big Boss doing okay. Night Goblin's doing okay. They are 400 gold each, so 49 kills on the Night Goblin, not too shabby. That's really good on a 300 gold cost Goblin Archer. That's pretty good as well. Doom Divers did alright, but I kind of wasted half their ammunition trying to destroy the enemy siege equipment in the beginning. I should have had them against the Longbeards probably earlier on. The enemy Empire player did okay. The Greatswords, they charged through that breach but were destroyed by Doom Divers as well as the Halberdiers when they finally managed to get there, so they didn't get to do too much. Swordsman did respectable. The general did not get much at all. Celestial Wizard's kind of the same thing. The dwarf player, Longbeard's got a lot of kills against our goblin forces. Wow, they really brought a ton of cannons. I didn't realize they brought that many. 0 kills, 6 kills, 25, 16. None of those are really worth the cost. Although they were tearing down towers and walls as well. So still, I think that's kind of way too many. That gyrocopter got sniped in the very beginning. That gyrocopter, 51 kills, not bad. That's what, the one with the brimstone gun? I think that's anti-armor, anti-large? Is it both? I can't remember. But yeah, Dwarf Lord, 54 kills. Very nice. And then let's look at our ally. Now, the halberds, a core of halberds in a defensive siege battle, I think is an odd choice. The halberds, we'll actually look at them here in a moment. Great swords did pretty good. I wish that he had more great swords. Lord did pretty good too. He probably wishes that I brought anything other than goblins, to be fair. So let's take a look at the halberds. The halberdiers, while they are cool, 650 each. So the weapon strength, they have a base of 27, but an additional 17 against large. And in a defensive battle, a siege battle, to bring 4 of them, I think is a big waste of money. But again, I brought an entire army of shitty goblins, so like, I don't really have much room to speak. But I wanted to do that. I wanted to try out the goblin army because I like doing thematic stuff, thematic things sometimes. I thought it'd be pretty silly and possibly fun just to bring a bunch of goblins, and it was fun. I enjoyed that. They didn't work, but we were fighting against Dwarven Longbeards. Dwarven Longbeards, 95 armor, 45 melee defense. That's a lot. Let's look at the Night Goblins. Oh, what's that? 27 weapon strength, only 5 of which is armor piercing. So I was put up against a very bad foe for the army that I brought, because literally nothing I have, not even our goblin big boss, is armor piercing. The Doom Divers are not armor piercing. How much do they do though? 50. It's not bad, but it's not really amazing. That's not bad though. But most everything else has no armor piercing. We just had the Night Goblins. We had the Goblin base experiment. Everything has poor leadership. So I kind of put myself in a situation that was going to be hard to win anyway, but it was fun. I enjoyed using the goblins, and I think I'm going to use them again at some point in the future. I don't think they're good. I'm not saying go out there in the multiplayer world and play as a goblin army, because it's probably not going to do well. But in a non-siege battle, you at least have, I believe they can deploy anywhere. Maybe they can only, yeah. So the Night Goblins, they have Vanguard deployment, and they have Stalk, so they are hidden in any terrain. So, in a more open field, you can use a small detachment of Night Goblins backed up by one of these Goblin Cavalry have Vanguard. The Forest Goblin Spider Riders also have Vanguard deployment. The melee version has Vanguard deployment. Goblin Wolf Riders do. So you can kind of get a Vanguard deployment in the back lines of an enemy player. So, like, they can work. Maybe not in a defensive siege battle, but they could potentially work. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the siege battle. It was fun. I'll try and do some more in the future, and I will see you all next time. Take care.